Welcome to the PR Maven Podcast, a podcast all about growing your network and building your brand through traditional and digital networking techniques. I'm Nancy Marshall, the PR Maven and CEO of Marshall Communications. I've been strengthening brands through PR for over 35 years, and now I'm celebrating the success of executives, influencers, business owners, and entrepreneurs from all around the world, all of whom have cultivated their brands and broadened their networks through traditional and digital networking methods. Each week, I interview one of these interesting and influential individuals and provide an opportunity for you, the PR Maven Nation, to gain insights from their strategies and stories. So stay tuned for this week's episode, and thanks for listening. Welcome to the PR Maven Podcast, episode number 223, presented by Marshall Communications, creator of the Marshall Plan 65-Step Strategic Process. For those of you new to the show, I'm Nancy Marshall, your host, the PR Maven and CEO of Marshall Communications. And with me today is a very dear friend and client, Gale Auclair, who's Senior Development Director for the Trek Across Maine, which is something that's also near and dear to my heart. So welcome to the PR Maven Podcast, Gale.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
It's so nice to have you here. So Gale was born and raised in New Jersey as one of 5 children, and her parents would bring the family to Newport, Vermont every summer to visit their grandparents and rent a house on Lake Memphremagog. Gale was adamant that she was going to one day live in Vermont. And after graduating from Trinity College in Burlington, Vermont, with a Bachelor of Science degree, Gale started a family in St. Johnsbury and began her career in management. She then moved to Winooski, Vermont. That's Winooski. We got some complicated names between Winooski and Memphremagog. But I've been there, so I know. So she moved to Winooski to work with the Vermont Children's Aid Society as a development assistant. After 33 years of calling Vermont her home, Gale moved to Augusta, Maine. Her love of development work brought her to the Sisters of Mercy in Portland, and after 4 years to the American Lung Association in Augusta as a development manager. Now, after 15 years, Gale is now the Senior Development Manager for the Trek Across Maine, where she manages a 6-member development team and $1 million+ event. It's a big event, I know. It's got a lot of literal moving parts. Right?
Totally.
A lot of moving parts. So Gale lives in Augusta, Maine with her husband, David Auclair, and their dachshund, Molly. Molly's probably there with you somewhere, Gale, or did you lock her away?
No, I left her home today.
Oh, you're at the office now.
I'm at the office.
Gale is a longtime antiquer and enjoys decorating. Her house is ever-changing with treasures. And as David says, don't stand still too long. She may sell you. They share a blended family of 3 sons and 2 grandchildren. Gale's old federal-style home speaks to her, and the fact that everyone is family in Maine never has her yearning to be anywhere else but home. That's nice. I like that, yeah. Gale. So tell us about your career and how you got into it in the first place, Gale.
Well, after management, and when I was in Vermont, and after working in management, I was laid off. And so looking for a job, I applied to Vermont Children's Aid Society, was hired, and worked with the development director there, and we did some fundraising events, et cetera. And I just loved it. So, when I came to Maine and I worked with the Sisters of Mercy, it was just the most fascinating job. It really was. And then I volunteered for the Trek Across Maine with David and his bike shop. And I was fascinated by it. I had never been to a cycling event. And so when this became open, I applied for the job. because I had the best time as a volunteer meeting people. I met people from New Jersey, New York, like from everywhere. And I could not believe that everyone had this big smile on their face, and it could be 95 degrees out and they're riding their bike on hot pavement. I was totally
pouring
impressed.
buckets of rain.
Or pouring buckets of rain. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I've ridden in the trek 7 times now, and I've done it virtually twice. And of course, if you know me, you know I would prefer the in person. And yeah, I just love riding along my bike and pulling up alongside people, talking to them, and then going to the rest stops and talking to all the volunteers. And it's such a social event.
It is. It really is.
Yeah, so
here I
it's
am.
a wonderful event. And so you moved from New Jersey to Vermont and then to Maine. And of course, you're working for the American Lung Association, which is the overall, you don't call it the sponsor of the trek, it's the organizer.
Right.
So what role has the American Lung Association played in your decision to stay here in Maine?
I think it's really my passion for my job. And it is very much the people at the event, the volunteers, my staff. There's just such a large group of people, and the relationships. I mean, I've got this great team. We laugh a lot and we complain a lot, but we laugh through it. And but it's the people, like every week, or every month we have meetings with volunteers who are amazingly committed, have done it for, like yourself, a number of years. Either they've ridden or they've volunteered or both. And it doesn't get much better. The people on the ride, they're like, hey, Gale, like I haven't seen them in a year, haven't talked with them, haven't emailed. And it's like, hey, how you doing? Oh, and you catch up on old news, and it's like, you never finish that conversation. And it's just near and dear to my heart. I think the event touches my heart. Even when I first started volunteering for David's cycling participation, or for his volunteer participation, what I really noticed on the trek, and it truly touched me, is that I feel personally, the trek is this tool that helps people meet other people. They solve a personal challenge. They might find a decision on where they're going to, or what type of journey they're going to go on. They make friends for life, but it's a healing tool. And I really believe that. I've just heard so many stories from trekkers, from mothers of trekkers, about how the trek has changed their son or daughter's life, because maybe they rode next to another trekker and they started talking and having this conversation. And maybe that was day 1. And then maybe day 2 or day 3, they bumped into each other again, and they just continued the conversation. And when that child or young adult got home, they changed, or they made a decision as to where they wanted to head in their journey. And the parent was totally moved. And I can't tell you how much it moves me.
Well, of course, all of this is to raise money for the Lung Association and for a great cause. It's for clean air and healthy lungs. Mm-hmm. And, for me personally, my mom passed actually the week of the trek in 2022, this past year, of lung disease. And all of a sudden it's like, wow, this is really important, because she was sick with lung disease and we didn't even realize how bad it was. She really had, she had been diagnosed, but it was kind of under the radar. And all of a sudden I was like, wow, yeah, this is a cause that I really believe in. So I think that's part of what brings everyone together during the trek is working for a cause, but having fun raising significant amounts of money and
Mhm.
riding significant miles. Do you want to talk about how long it is in the route?
So it's 3 days. It's on Father's Day weekend, and it's approximately 60 miles a day for a total of about 180 miles. And, we try and stick to that number, but, you're in Maine. And so sometimes you can't get there from here. So, the route might be a little bit shorter, but not much.
Well, yeah, there have been days when it's been 70 miles too. I remember when
Yes.
I started at Sunday River and went to University of Maine at Farmington. I think that was 72 miles because I did that in the pouring rain one year, and I was counting every quarter mile on the way.
Oh, yeah.
You try not to look at your watch and you try not to look at your odometer too much because it's really discouraging when it's not moving.
I know, right? For sure.
But boy, it's such an accomplishment. And I think, again, that's one of the things that brings so much joy to everyone is the incredible accomplishment. First of all, the training in advance and fundraising in advance, because each trekker has to raise how much money?
$550
minimum.
And if you're riding the virtual trek, it's $400. So, you can ride it either way.
Yeah. And then, of course, we've been working on sponsorships. We might as well announce the sponsors for
oh my gosh
2023 because we've been working together on that. Do you want to name those off while we're at it?
I don't know I'm going to catch all of them, but VIP is our lead sponsor.
VIP Tires and Service. Yep.
And they're just wonderful to work with. They really are very enthusiastic and I think very passionate about our event. We have Puritan and let's see who else.
Puritan
Garmin.
Medical Products. Garmin.
Yep. Garmin, who's been a sponsor for, oh my goodness, I bet you 50 to 20, almost 20 years.
Yeah.
We have LL Bean, of course, and they have been a sponsor, I think, from the beginning. So 30 something years. Then we have
Courtyard by Marriott is a new
Courtyard by Marriott's our newest sponsor.
Yes, and that was a connection that was made through Ginny, who works at Puritan Medical Products. So we were happy for that introduction. And thanks to Emma, who has put the list up in the chat here.
Oh,
so
great.
We also have Hammond Lumber that had been a sponsor, and they
returned.
But they've returned, And Martins Point Physical Therapy. Central Maine Healthcare, Bank of America, Midcoast Parkview Health, Kennebec Savings Bank, Bangor Savings Bank, Spectrum Medical Group, Cross Insurance, Bilodeau Insurance, Maine State Credit Union, Blueberry Broadcasting, WGME TV, Down East Magazine, Fielder's Choice Ice Cream, Vibe Media Production, Gorham Bike, Cyclemania, Ski Rack, and Side Country, and the Rusty Crank.
Yep, Rusty Crank and Rainbow Cycle.
And Ernie's Cycle Shop.
Yep.
Yeah, so all of the sponsorships really make the event possible.
Oh, totally.
Because, we've been talking about how complex of an event with, you're moving 700, 800, 1,000 people, all, from starting in Brunswick and then going over to Lewiston and to St. Joseph's College and back to Brunswick. So it's a moving
party.
Yeah. But it's expensive and it's complicated, and there needs to be a lot of safety precautions and coordination. And so it's really been, well, I love working with you, Gale. So
thank you.
It's a lot of fun, but also it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, but we make a good team.
Yeah, we do. And we might as well say we are still looking for a few more sponsors. So, people can reach out to me, or you'll be getting Gale's contact information. And how do people sign up for the trek if they want to actually ride in it?
They can go to trekacrossmaine.org, our website, And you can choose to ride either Father's Day weekend, locally, or you can choose to do the virtual trek, or you can choose to volunteer.
Right. So
Yeah.
the virtual trek is you're riding on a stationary bike, or you're riding your own bike, but not along the route.
Right. In your community, or maybe it's the rail trail and, where you live. You could even be at the YMCA and count, a spin class as part of your mileage. Or, you know what? We're not going to check on you. So, maybe you only ride 100 miles. It's okay.
Yeah, right.
It's okay.
The other thing that I really like about the trek is, because I'm not the fastest rider. I can ride a long way, but I don't go that fast.
Yeah.
But you don't have to. It's not a race. And nobody judges you either. So, there are some people that are faster, and they kind of finish first every day. And then they're like, they get to, they're having their baked potato for lunch.
Right.
That is one of the lunches, is a baked potato bar, which is pretty amazing, by the way.
I know.
You don't feel guilty eating a huge potato with chili and sour cream because you've just ridden 60 miles on your bike. But in any case, even if you're slower, I typically average 10 miles an hour, and I take 6+ hours to complete it, and that's okay. Nobody's judging.
Yeah. And Nancy, I know you know this. If you let's say are 15 miles in and you're like, I'm kind of struggling or whatever, I need a little bit of help, you can wave a SAG driver down and they'll take you at least to the next rest stop. So then you can eat some more and get back on your bike and head back out. Yeah. So we're there to help you we want you to be successfore, and we're there to support you in that.
Yeah. Yeah. People keeling over at the bottom of a hill and say, I just can't go up one more hill.
Right.
Yeah, sometimes the hills are pretty grueling.
Yeah.
They can be. But, well, this is great. And we're going to take a short break now and hear from our friends at Sprague and Curtis in Augusta, but we'll be back in just a moment with more from Gale Auclair.
Sprague & Curtis is a locally owned real estate company. We're primarily focused in central Maine. I got excited about Nancy's book because she's so well known in the area for her marketing and branding techniques, and we're always looking to expand and learn and grow, and so a lot of us here at the office decided that we wanted to read her book and learn some new techniques.
It benefits Sprague & Curtis to have a large brand and audience because there can often be multiple years between transactions with clients, so it's important to network with them and stay in touch with them in those in-between periods. And this book really helped us learn some techniques and methods to continue to do that. We organized a small book group with Nancy's book with brokers in our office this winter to share information and remind ourselves how important it is to always be working on our network and continually reaching out to our customers.
Platforms like social media are important in expanding your business, but equally as important are handwritten notes, cards, letters. She inspired me to send her a note of appreciation, just thanking her for the book and her insight. In reading Nancy's book, I was excited to look to continue to grow our brand and our audience. I think she does a great job of motivating us.
Nancy's book really helped me learn a few things in marketing and branding and how important it is to stay on top of reaching out to clients periodically, staying top of mind, providing useful information, and really telling our story as a company.
We're back for more after after hearing from our friends at Sprague and Curtis in Augusta. That was kind of a nice story that they had that book group, and then Lori Doobie reached out to me with a handwritten note, and of course I love handwritten notes in the mail. I always have, so that was great. So we got into this a little bit, Gale, as far as like the trek across Maine is so much fun. In addition to, first of all, we're having a fun event in Portland in February.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about that?
Sure. On Thursday, February 16th, we're going to be at the Marriott Hotel.
The Courtyard by Marriott on Commercial.
Right. And they're on Commercial Street. And so we are going to have a beer and bikes event there from 5:30 to 7:30. And we have not had, a beer and bike event for probably 4 or 5 years.
Because of the pandemic, right?
Because of the pandemic. And we had done it for a long time, and we thought it would be great just to take a break. And so we're really excited to partner with them. And so we just invite everyone to come, volunteers, trekkers, sponsors, bike shops, just come on down. And, we will have some finger food. We're going to have awards, and we're going to have door prizes. And
we're going to be making a video.
Really going to be a lot of fun.
We're going to make a video there too.
Yeah, we're making a video, and going to be talking to lots of people. So it's very much a social event, and we'll probably run a registration promotion. So if you would like to come down and register to ride, or bring someone from your office to volunteer with you, that would be great. You can never have enough buddies.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah, and you always make new friends.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
So how much money does the Trek raise, and where does the money go to?
Well, last year the Trek raised about $800,000. In the years past, pre-pandemic, we were at like somewhere between $1.3 million. We've been as high as $1.8 million a couple years. Our goal is really to try and get $2 million, but I think as everyone will attest to, that COVID impacted all of us in various ways, not just personally, but in our businesses. And so we are really hoping to increase our, not just sponsorship, but our participants. And family participation is just really key. As we said, it's on Father's Day weekend. And maybe we could talk a little bit more about how families can get involved, Nancy. But the money goes to research, education, and legislation. So 90 cents of every dollar goes to our mission, which is pretty amazing in the nonprofit world.
Yeah. So let's talk about how families can get involved.
Well, I think, from my perspective, there are some people that say, well, why don't you change the date? It's on Father's Day weekend. I can't ride. Nancy?
Hi.
Hi.
We're still live, but I think we did lose internet, so just trying to get everything back up and running, and
Okay.
be able to.
And then if we want to start maybe with that question and just go.
Yes, we can do that.
Okay.
We are experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by. Oh, there we are. Sorry, Gale, we lost.
That's okay.
Okay. Luckily, we restored it. So,
Yay. So families can get involved in a variety of ways. And, people say, well, it's on Father's Day weekend. Can you change the date? And, we've done it this way for 39 years.
yeah.
I think the best part about this is that families can get involved. So if, let's say, you ride, but your husband or wife doesn't, you can bring them along. They can volunteer. If they volunteer for more than one day, we'll house them, feed them, they'll be spending the weekend with you basically. Kids or young adults can also volunteer. Depending on their age, we ask that a adult be with them, and we can obviously room them all together. So it's terrific. And a lot of times a father, it's mostly fathers, will say, oh my gosh, my daughter's riding with me. She's flying in from Florida or wherever. And they are so excited. And that, of course, makes you excited because as a parent how wonderful it is when your kids come and share time with you. Right, especially when they get older.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
I know if I asked my boys to ride, they'd probably tell me I had to buy them a bike. But I think I might if they would ride with me. So we'll have to talk about that.
My son did the virtual trek 2 years during the COVID years. He lives out in Ohio, and he went full blast. He did it, for 2 years straight. So I was cheering him on.
Yeah, that's great. That's nice. So we do the PR for the trek. And of course, we've generated a lot of really good PR over the years. Could you remember any of the highlights of good PR coverage?
Well, one of the things that I did like, I think all our staff really liked, is connecting with trekkers and finding out why they ride, and asking them to do an interview with you or one of your staff on why is the trek so important to them, or why are they passionate about it, and to get their life story. And it could be as simple as their son or daughter decided to ride with them in the past couple years. But it also is, there are stories about, they're riding in memory of someone that they used to ride with, or someone is ill and they're riding. So it's really sometimes to ride in honor of someone or in memory of someone. And it sticks with them, throughout the years. And they're very touching stories. And they themselves might have been diagnosed with lung disease of some sort. They might have asthma or COPD or, lung cancer. So you just don't know. But those are always wonderful stories to hear.
Yeah. And last year we did an opinion column. We did several different opinion columns, I think, for several different newspapers with the president of Mid-Coast Hospital.
Yeah.
And some of the board members of the Lung Association. So, the media in Maine has been very supportive of the event, obviously, because they know it's a good cause and involves a lot of people. So,
yes, they've been really kind to us. They really have.
Yeah. And of course, the media sponsors like WGME and Blueberry Broadcasting and Down East Magazine, they help with publicizing as well.
Yeah, and Public Radio, I believe, was a sponsor last year. So it's been terrific.
So people can ride virtually also by going to the website and signing up.
Correct.
And you said they have to raise $400. And how do they raise the money typically? I mean, you ask friends, you ask coworkers, you ask family members.
Yep. You you go to your local places where you do business, and you can ask for a donation, your hairdresser, dry cleaner, but you can also see if they would allow you to put out a change jar, and you put your picture on it and, a little story as to why you're riding or why you're raising the money, because you can always get people to donate change. I know I don't like carrying a lot of change around, so I have to do that. But you're the employer you work for can also help you. Either they have matching gifts. You can also raise money through United Ways and designate your money to the American Lung Association. And there was a company in South Portland that I worked with, and they had pizza on Fridays. So they would sell the slices of pizza after getting it donated, and you could wear, jeans, whatever. But it was a nice fundraiser for those people. Some women will, I've heard some people are really great bakers, so they bring warm chocolate chip cookies
that sounds
into
good.
work, and they sell them to employees, in the morning. I mean, who doesn't love the smell of a chocolate chip cookie?
Yeah, that's
right.
Good right now.
Muffins. So employers are also, I find, very supportive of the cause or the cyclists.
That's great. So where can people find out more about the trek, and how can they connect with you, Gale?
They can find out about the trek at our website. It's trekacrossmaine.org. And you can also call. You can call me. And if you have a pencil and paper, you can write my phone number down. But it's 624-0302. We're happy to help. You can go to our Facebook page, which is the Trek Across Maine, and you can just do some outreach to us, and we will reply back and get a hold of you. So we have different avenues.
Well, and also Gale.Auclair, which is AUCLAIR at lung.org is your email.
Correct.
Or your LinkedIn.
Yes.
Yeah. So lots of ways of connecting with Gale or with the event. And I'm just really excited. We have how many more months now? We've got about 5
I think it was 100. We're down to days. So I think we're down to like 145 days or something.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll come up quick. It's like when you make, when you go to the dentist and they say, come back in 6 months, and you feel like it's forever. And then all of a sudden, here it is.
It is.
I hate to say it, the older we get, the faster the time
it goes by. Totally.
Yeah. But Gale, this has been a lot of fun, and I'm so excited about this year's track, and especially getting back in person. It's like such a blessing that we don't have to be isolating with COVID anymore.
I know.
Yeah. So thank you for joining me, and everybody in PR Maven Nation, thanks you for the good work that you're doing as well. So have a great day, PR Maven Nation.
You too.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the PR Maven Podcast. I invite you to share a review of the podcast on iTunes or your favorite podcast player. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. You can also join the PR Maven Nation on Facebook. It's free to join, and it's a great community of like-minded individuals who are all looking to learn and grow from one another. If you use an Alexa device, use your Alexa app to search the skills and games section to find and enable the PR Maven Podcast Flash Briefing. This will give you access to exclusive content and more PR and marketing advice. Thanks again for listening, and have a great rest of your week, PR Maven Nation.